Hello and welcome everyone to Fire Safety Live. My name is Chris. I work at MCTV and I've got a few guests with me today and we're going to talk about fire safety. So let's bring them on in. Hang on one second. Let me remove this from my stream. And here we go. Katie Geyer, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Katie Geyer is our communications coordinator at the city of Midland. And let's bring our star of the show, Mr. Tony Lelo. How you doing, Tony?
Hi, Chris. Nice to be here.
Hey, thank you. So, hey, we're going to talk a little bit about fire safety, especially this upcoming holiday season. Tony's going to answer any questions you have. So feel free to ask a question in any of the comments here on YouTube, Facebook, or even Twitter. And Tony and Katie are going to kind of take this show on the road, and I'll be behind the scenes. So here we go. Let's just ask for the first question. Tony, I've got something for you. What is the most frequently asked question that you always get at the fire department?
You know, quite often people ask us, why does a fire truck come when I call 911 for a medical emergency? And the answer to that is there just simply are more of us. We have fire stations that are located strategically around the community, and we're able to get emergency help to people much quicker and provide those life-saving measures really quickly. So we can get on the scene a lot quicker.
Awesome.
Probably the other thing would be smoke alarms. How many smoke alarms do I need? Where should I put my smoke alarms? We get a lot of questions about those. I think you go to the store and you see a whole aisle full of smoke alarms in different types, and they do different things, and some have batteries and some are hardwired. And I think it's important just to understand the different types. So if you have a newer home, your house is most likely going to have hardwired smoke alarms. Those are going to be hooked right up to the power on your house, and they have battery backup as well. That way, if the power goes out in your home, you're still protected in case of an emergency. If you look at the picture on the screen, it's showing the back of a smoke alarm. One of the things to know is how old your smoke alarms actually are. If you look at the sticker, it says replace in 10 years. 10 years is kind of that spot where smoke alarms really start to drop off as far as their response and sensitivity. So we recommend that you replace smoke alarms after 10 years. One of the things you could do is write on the side of the smoke alarm, there should be a sticker that will have a date. You can write the date that the smoke alarm was installed. Also on the back of the smoke alarm, if it doesn't have a sticker, you can look and you can see on this one, this is an expired smoke alarm, was manufactured in June of 2008. So that smoke alarm would need to be replaced.
Awesome.
All right, Tony, it looks like we've got our first social question from Richard Bennett, which I'm excited because we were going to talk about this anyway. So thank you so much, Richard. It says, good afternoon. What about artificial trees and extension cord use in businesses?
Hi, Richard. Thanks for the question. I would assume you're referring to around the Christmas season. Typically, we don't want you to run your business with a bunch of extension cords. However, during the Christmas season, holidays, people want to put up lights and decorations, those kind of things. Those are acceptable on a temporary basis. Artificial trees are absolutely the way to go. And we kind of, that 90 days before, 90 days after, we want to see those extension cords gone. But during that section, that's a good time to use those and certainly appropriate. Yeah, great question.
We've got a great follow-up question from Matthew Thomas. How many Christmas lights are too much for a single outlet?
Oh, that's good. Good question. 3 strands, as you get those all strung together, usually that is getting to be a lot. Now, the newer Christmas lights that are LEDs, they use considerably less electricity. So you want to usually, all of your Christmas lights will come with some kind of owner's manual, or it'll say on the box, hey, you should use this many together, or this is enough. It'll also depend on how your home is wired or your business is wired. Is it a 15 amp circuit? Is it a 20 amp circuit? If you start tripping breakers, you need to reduce the number of Christmas lights you have. Great questions.
What other tips do you have, Tony, for people who are decorating for the holidays? What should they be looking for as they're putting up holiday decorations?
I think you want to look at stuff that is, especially electrical things that you're going to plug in. You want to make sure that they're tested by a reputable testing agency, UL, Intertech, one of those, so that we know that they've been tested and they are meet manufacturers or safety, not protocols, but regulations.
Yeah.
You want to look at locations. You never want to block your emergency exits with your fire safety, with your Christmas decorations. When you're making a decision, if you're going to do artificial versus live trees, obviously artificial trees require considerably less maintenance, I'll say, whereas a live tree, you need to keep an eye on that. You need to make sure that it stays watered. When you're selecting a live tree, you want to make sure that the needles are fresh, the tree is fresh, hasn't been sitting on a lot for a couple months, and make sure you keep it watered. Make sure you keep open flames away from that in your home. When Christmas is over, make sure that gets disposed of properly.
How can you tell if a live tree is older?
As the needles, as you're looking at the needles, if needles are falling off like crazy, that's a good indication that tree is getting pretty dry. That's a really easy one.
Okay. Well, for those of you that have live trees that are much more Christmassy than me, who uses an artificial tree, there's some good info for you. As a reminder, we'll keep going through some of these more frequently asked questions, but if you have a comment or a question you'd like Tony to answer directly, please drop it in one of the comment boxes and we'll pop it up for you. So Tony, we talked about fire safety at the holidays, a little bit about Christmas, but we have a really important holiday coming up this Thursday. And with Thanksgiving comes a lot of cooking. So what kind of cooking safety tips do you have for residents as they are preparing for a fire safe meal this holiday?
I think, once again, as you're adding people to your home, we're putting tables and chairs and things because we're trying to fit everyone in. Make sure that you're not blocking that exit to get out in case of emergency. As you're cooking, just like always, make sure you're turning your pot handles in. Little kids can't accidentally bump them, get burned. You want to make sure that when you're cooking, don't leave your cooking unattended. Don't leave those pots on to boil. Make sure someone is around to keep an eye on those things. Cooking fires cause a considerable amount of the fires in the United States. So it's really important to keep an eye on those. And also deep fried turkeys. So I love deep fried turkeys. They're very good. Highly recommend them. Need to follow some basic safety tips. Got to make sure that turkey's thawed. Frozen turkey and a turkey fryer is going to be a recipe for disaster. Make sure when you're frying that turkey needs to be out, away from your home, away from the garage. I know it's raining or snowing, but you can't do that in the garage. That's a really bad idea. Make sure that you measure the oil correctly so that the oil doesn't overflow, start a fire. Also, when you're putting the turkey in the oil, it needs to be put in there very, very slowly. Make sure you've got gloves or something to protect your arms and your hands. As you're putting it in, you want to put that turkey in extremely slow so that it doesn't boil over.
Perfect. Yeah, we all love our fire department here in Midland, but we do not want to be seeing you this Thanksgiving holiday, at least not.
I want to see you for that. No, ma'am.
Right. So while we're on the topic of the holiday season and having people get together, the holidays bring a lot of out-of-town guests sometimes to your home. What kinds of emergency plans should people be making as they prepare to welcome guests to their home?
That's a great question. When you do have people who are visiting or going to be staying for an extended period of time, make sure that they're aware of what your exit plan is going to be, especially if there's kids involved, that they know how they're going to get out of the house, where your designated meeting spot is going to go. And that's a spot outside your home where during an emergency, everyone will congregate. So as we drive up with the fire truck, if there's an emergency, we can see a large group of people. We can ask you if everyone is out of the building. Make sure they know what the smoke alarms sound like. Make sure that if you need to run a fire drill, that's never a bad idea. Make sure everyone knows what the plan is. Maybe you've got that plan posted on the fridge. That's a great place to put that for kids. We've got some plans that you can download. Those are great. So
Perfect. What other types of plans besides home exit plans should people be preparing for in their home?
We get all different kinds of disasters, emergencies, and it's important to have at least a basic plan for what you're going to do. If you had to leave your home, do you have any idea where you might gonna go? Do you have family that's in another town? If there was going to be an extended power outage, something like that. Do you have emergency supplies ready if you had to stay in your home? We had a blizzard, you couldn't get out of your house for some reason, bad storm, there was trees or branches or power lines, any of that kind of stuff down where it's not safe to go outside. Are you prepared to be able to stay in your home for 2, 3, 4 days? Having a couple cases of bottled water, having some canned food, making sure you have batteries, a radio or some other type of device to find out weather alerts. Excuse me. We can get a lot of that stuff on our cell phones. Sometimes during natural disasters, cell phones don't work very well, so it's good to have a plan B. Right. And maybe a list of your emergency numbers and medicines and all that kind of stuff, so that's ready to go in an instant. We can replace those medications if you have to go to another town, but if you don't know the names of those medications, that makes it much more difficult. That'll cover you through a lot of different emergencies, and to know where a shelter spot would be in your home in case of a tornado or other severe weather. If you're going to be in a basement, are you going to be locked in a bathroom? What works for your home? Have those places identified and make sure that those people who are visiting know that stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point. Emergency preparedness is something that the fire department is very involved in, as well as Midland County Emergency Management. If you go to ready.gov, a lot of what Tony has talked about is available there for you to take a look at. Or if you follow Midland County Emergency Management on Facebook as well, that is our local emergency management response organization that I know the fire department I work with as well, quite a bit during natural disasters. So they have lots of great information. Definitely recommend checking those out as well. We've got another Facebook comment from Matthew Thomas. Does the fire department still have a program where they go into the schools? And if so, what grades?
Our program has been on hiatus as of late because of all of this COVID stuff going on. Hoping we can get all of that started back up sooner rather than later. It's definitely on our agenda. We were working with, depending on the school, kindergarten to second grade was kind of the age groups that we were trying to reach. Yeah, good question.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit more. We talked about lighting, safety a little bit. Let's go back to that for a few minutes. When you're setting up a display, which someone much more creative than me is going to be doing this holiday season, what should they be checking for when they look at those wires, those displays, so that they know that it's safe as they're decorating their home?
It's important to look at most of us have to use extension cords to plug in our Christmas lights. It's important to take a look at those wires. They will get frayed or broken over time. Just look and make sure there's not a chance for someone to get electrocuted or for a fire to start because the insulation is starting to break down. Make sure you have a good extension cord. I don't recommend the cheaper ones. Spend some money on a good extension cord and you'll have a lot less problems. Even a power strip with its own circuit breaker built in, those are a great solution. Make sure that you don't have too many strands of lights strung together. Make sure that whatever kind of display you're putting up, if it's a store-bought display picture, make sure it's fire retardant. It's not going to spread a fire. And again, make sure you're not blocking any exits, whether that's in your home or in a commercial setting.
Sure. I hate to say this word because we've already had it a few times this season, but let's talk a little bit about snow. So snow and ice is something that we have to deal with in Michigan, unfortunately, for almost half the year. Does it pose any type of concern when it comes to fire safety?
Yeah, a couple different things. One, when we're getting a lot of snow, it's important. Most homes have some type of boiler, furnace, and those things have vents outside. It's important to know where your boiler or furnace vents at and to check on that when there's a lot of wind and snow and or a lot of snow, so that you're making sure that snow isn't building up over those vents and blocking those gases from getting out of your home. If that happens, that can cause carbon monoxide to back up in your home and can make you very, very sick. The other thing I would say is, if you burn wood, make sure that you've cleaned your chimney before the season starts, and keep an eye on that, so you're not having, one, you don't have a chimney fire, and two, that the chimney works the way that it should.
Now, Tony, you mentioned carbon monoxide. I know they make carbon monoxide detectors. What do you recommend someone getting for their home to make sure they're safe? And are there other type of detectors that they should use as well?
There's a lot of different options when it comes to carbon monoxide alarms. You can get, you can actually get combination smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm. One-stop shopping, if that's what you choose to do. You can get some that are as simple as opening the package, plugging it directly into the wall, and you're protected. So there's varying ranges of detectors and alarms that are available. I always suggest to people to get one that has a digital readout, so that you can maybe identify a carbon monoxide problem before it makes anyone in the house sick. You want to make sure you have one on every level, and you want to make sure it's somewhere you can hear it. If it went off in the middle of the night, is it going to wake you up where it's at?
Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that come along with snow and ice. One of the things that we see that causes an issue in the winter is snow and ice building up around fire hydrants. Can you tell the residents a little bit about how we combat that and how they can help us?
The best way, if you have a hydrant around your home or near your home or in your yard, you could take care of that yourself. And I would highly recommend that you do that. There's just too many fire hydrants for us to shovel them all out. Just as simple as running your snowblower around it, or using a shovel, clear like 36 inches around it and maybe a path out to the street. It can make all the difference in the world and can save a lot of time in an emergency. If we have to dig out a hydrant to use it, that adds or takes away those precious seconds that we need to be able to put that fire out quickly. Additionally, if you have a business, make sure you have a chat with whoever is going to plow snow at your business to make sure that they're not plowing all of the snow around the fire hydrant, so that you don't get a visit from me to tell you to remove all the snow that you just moved there.
Right. Yes, we love visits from Tony, but you don't want him visiting you to tell you that you've done something wrong and violated any type of fire code. So please feel free to reach out to us at any time. I know Tony is always available to chat, and you can also go to cityofmidlandmi.gov/fire to get resources about pretty much everything that we've talked about here today. Just a reminder, we're going to go through some more questions, but if you have a question, just pop it in the chat box and we will populate it up here to the video so Tony can answer your question directly. Here's one that I hope the residents will also chime in on. We do tons of video, kind of like this, as well as stuff in the studio throughout the year with our different departments. We're always looking for new ideas for things to tackle when it comes to fire safety. Tony, what are you seeing out in the community right now that's a trend that you feel like we need some more communication on?
Excuse me. I think it's important for people to know about smoke alarms, as we talked earlier, but also as we get older, or if you have a disability, there are other options than your standard put it on the ceiling or wall smoke alarm. If you have trouble hearing, there are they call them bed shaker smoke alarms, and you put it under your pillow, and if the smoke alarms go off, it shakes so that it will wake you up and you don't need to actually hear it. There's also smoke alarms with lights that can help wake you up. Kids, a lot of the time, you could set off the smoke alarms and it won't wake your kids up. They'll sleep right through it. It's a good idea as you're practicing fire drills to do it once while they're sleeping. One, you want them to practice at nighttime. More fires happen at night. Two, you want to see if they're going to wake up. They may or they may not wake up. It just flat out might not wake them up. So it's important to know that ahead of time and to put that into your plan. Something as simple as closing the door to your kid's bedroom can buy lots of time. It can buy us the time to respond and be able to rescue those kids. And even the cheapest hollow core door that you can buy at any store will stop a lot of smoke and fire and give us that necessary time.
Perfect. That's wonderful. Thank you. It's great to know that there's lots of options out there for people, that one size doesn't always fit all, especially when it comes to emergency preparedness. So knowing that you have a lot of options available to you is always going to keep people safe. Tony, is there anything else that you want the community to know as we move into the holiday season in terms of fire safety?
I think, excuse me, to go back to fire drills, I think most people are pretty good about doing fire drills when they have little kids at home, and then those kids move away and they don't really think about it. But as we get older, we don't hear as well, we don't move as well, we don't get out of bed as quickly as we used to. You should have a plan, regardless of how old you are. Where are you going to go? Do you need a walker to walk? Do you need a wheelchair to walk? Do you need to start sleeping with your door closed? To have a plan ready in case of an emergency and what you're going to do. The other thing is escape ladders. We have a lot of 2-story homes here in Midland, and a lot of people will purchase escape ladders. They simply roll out the window in case of a fire so that people can climb down the side of your house. The first time you're going down that ladder should not be when your house is on fire. You want to take a couple minutes and make sure your kids have gone down it. They know how to deploy the ladder. The ladder's worthless if the kids don't know how to open the window and put that ladder out. Again, as we get older, we don't move as well as we used to. If you have one in your room, you should make sure that you can actually get down the thing. They can be a little wobbly. They're usually made with chain, and so they'll move around a bit. Do that under good circumstances and while the weather is nice, so that you're better prepared when there is a real emergency.
Awesome. Very helpful. Thank you.
Yes. Hey, Katie and Tony, thank you so much for joining the Q&A live on all the social media channels. Thank you for all of you joining and watching as well. Feel free to, send out the question, comment, and we'll do our best to answer it after the fact. But thank you all, and we will catch you all later. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.